Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This is Dreamweaver83 and I'm going to show you how I make the most epic beef jerky. We're going to start out with a roast. I got this one on sale for $6.45. Great deal. Then we're going to go ahead and put in some of the Spade El Ranch seasoning. I accidentally bought the fish, but the beef is actually better. But I'm going to use what I have. And then we're going to use some salt. You can use any kind of salt you have. I have sea salt, so that's what I'm going to use. Then we're going to put in some garlic. I like the minced. I don't really like the pureed. I just don't. I think it gives too strong of a flavor, so minced is good. Then we're going to put in some soy sauce. And back here in the back, I've got some brown sugar. Then we'll just use a bowl. Whatever bowl you got works great. We're also going to want to make sure that that's slightly frozen. If the meat's not frozen, it's a lot harder to cut. Then we're going to need some measuring cups here. And spoons. I just use 1 cup and a tablespoon and a teaspoon. That's all I need for this recipe. Let's go ahead and get this mixed up. You're going to want to start with your Spade El Ranch seasoning. You're going to put 2 tablespoons of it in the bowl here. Once again, use the beef. It is so much better than the fish, but they taste almost exactly the same. But I just like the beef better. Then use the salt, 1 teaspoon of salt. That's all you're going to need. Then we're going to go back to our tablespoon and add a lightly packed tablespoon of brown sugar. Then we're going to go to our garlic. I'm just going to use the same measuring spoon. I'm not going to get a new one. I'm just going to make sure I kind of clean it off. And then I'm going to use a pretty good size of this garlic and put it in there. And then we're going to move on to our soy sauce. And you're going to use a cup of soy sauce. It doesn't have to be a overflowing cup, just like a good cup of soy sauce. And then the last thing we want to put in here is water. We're going to water this down just a little bit. I'm going to just use 1 cup of water for this recipe. And I'm going to mix it up and get that brown sugar and the sugar within the Spade El Ranch seasoning mixed in, because it likes to sit on the bottom and that's kind of not great. So that's what I like to do, is just mix it up. And I set all this aside and we're going to start on getting this beef cut. Now with it, it is not completely frozen, but it is slightly frozen to where the center core of it is pretty solid. Set that aside. Now we want to make sure that we get as much of the fat. Oh, that's dog hair. Just so y'all know. Yeah, that's my secret ingredient. But let's get all this fat cut off. It's not that great to have on your beef jerky, for one, and then if you have it stored for a little while, it's going to go rancid. So I try and cut as much of it off as I can, though I'm not going to make sure every little tiny bit is off, because in my house it doesn't last that long. My kids will go through it in 2 to 3 days. And this is a lot of beef jerky, but my kids will still somehow go through all of it. But let's get this cut off and then we'll move on to actually cutting it into strips. With the strips, you want to make sure that we get them pretty thin. You don't want them to be super thick. And you want to also check the way you cut it and just go for it. The thinner the better. Really, honestly, that's my key. Always, the thinner the better. And try and keep everything as uniform as you can. Sometimes it doesn't always happen because, we're not perfect. But, as most of possible as you can, keep them all relatively the same size. This is about how thick I like mine. It tends to dry the best. If you have it thicker, like this piece, it's going to take a little longer to dry. But I'm going to keep cutting this up and I will be back with you when it's done. Okay, I've got that all cut, and now I'm going to get it in the marinade. We're going to mix that around a little bit and put our meat in there. It'll all fit, just get it all in there, and then we're going to want to kind of smush it in, get it underneath the level of the marinade. Make sure it's all submerged, and that way it is all getting that good flavor into the meat there. You're going to want to put this in the fridge for about 4 hours or overnight. Make sure you put a lid on it. I'm going to do mine overnight, so we will see you tomorrow morning, and we'll get it in the food dehydrator. Okay, it's the next morning, and I'm going to use the dehydrator to put my beef jerky on. I got this at Walmart, and it was about $30. Super cheap, to be honest, and I think it was the cheapest one that they had, but it works great. I mean, I've had it for I think like 3 years now, and I've made so many batches of beef jerky. That's all I use it for, is beef jerky. I think I'm gonna try making other things, but I might get a new dehydrator to do that, just because I think that I've used this so much for beef jerky that it's gonna just permeate whatever I make. But when you're layering your beef here on the trays, you want to make sure that they do have a little space in between them, and that you're not putting them on top of each other. If they're touching, it's not the end of the world. It'll be fine. But you just don't want them like right on top of one another. I'm going to just keep going and just keep layering my trays up, and I will be right back with you. Got that done. I'm going to put the lid on and plug it in and let it dehydrate. 1.5 hours later, and you have a finished batch of beef jerky. Me, I have a half batch because my kids have already gone through and eaten 2 of the trays. So I will make one more batch up here, and that way I can weigh it for you, and we can see approximately how much one batch of the beef jerky will get. It looks like I'll have enough to make 3 batches, so I'm gonna, make all 3, of course, but I'll get that done here, and you'll be able to see that. So I just wanted to show you here that we went and got a package of beef jerky from the store. This was just at our local Maverick, and this is a great brand. We really like this brand, but the problem is it's kind of expensive. Like, it's $5.99 for 3.25 ounces of beef jerky. So that comes out to about $1.84 per ounce. This one was a new brand that they had on sale. So originally this was actually supposed to be $7.99. So here is that second batch of beef jerky that I made, and it is in a quart size Ziploc, and it came out to 9 ounces. Now that's a lot of beef jerky, so I have enough to make one more batch, which I'll do a little bit later, and if all of my batches come out to 9 ounces, that's 27 ounces, which then would bring the cost of my beef jerky to 31 cents. So cost-wise, it is super affordable, and it tastes better. You know what's in it. You can know that it's safe. I hope you try the recipe. I hope you like this video, and I hope you subscribe to my channel. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. The recipe will be at the end of this clip.